Hey, what's up everybody? This is Osaberg501 and today I want to go over mounts in Diablo 4. And I think mounts are going to play a much more important role in general open world gameplay than a lot of people realize. And this is primarily due to Diablo 4 being the first open world Diablo game, having this massive open world that you could walk from one end to the other if you wanted to. So adding mounts into the mix that will allow you to move across that landscape much more quickly is going to be pretty important. And we do have a decent bit of information on mounts, but it has seemed some of this information has changed, especially since the endgame beta that happened a couple weeks ago. So up until that point, all the information we have gotten is that you will be able to unlock mounts at around level 50, and more specifically when you beat the main quests of the game. So you complete all of the chapters, and once you do that, you'd be able to unlock your mount, which would be at around level 50. Now, since that endgame beta and having a ton of leaked footage released, it seems you're able to unlock mounts much more quickly. I think the lowest level I've seen mounts being used in that leaked footage was level 36. So it's seeming like you're able to unlock mounts much more quickly, and I did see some comments saying you'd be able to unlock these mounts in the endgame beta at level 15, but take that with a grain of salt because I haven't seen footage of people that low level using mounts. Now this could be something that they just allowed you to get mounts quicker in the endgame beta to make it easier, but I suspect they're probably just allowing you to get these mounts much earlier on while doing the main campaign of the game to speed up the gameplay and allow you to just move around the map and explore more easily. Now you will have a few different abilities you get to use when on your mount. As of right now, we don't know if more are going to be added later on, but you have a dash ability that is generally keybound to space. And I actually didn't see this used, but this seems to be a dash or a jump on the horse, a movement ability to help you move around more quickly. Then the next ability is your class specific dismount attack, and we're going to be going over that more in this video. And then you just have a normal dismount, so you would just get off your horse normally. Now with mounts in Diablo 4, if you are attacked while on your mount, you get knocked off and stunned. None of the mounts have their actual own health bar. If you get hit while on it, it's just you getting hit. Now I mentioned a class specific dismount attack, and that is going to be a pretty big part of these mounts. So every single class is going to have their own dismount attacks you can use when you're on your horse. And essentially, this is going to jump off your horse and do some ability that's specific to that class. So for instance, a rogue's going to jump in the air and shoot a massive volley of arrows. A barbarian's going to jump up in the air and slam down. A druid's going to jump off, turn into bear form, land on the ground. And a sorceress is going to launch herself forward as an ice projectile, freezing everything in their path. And these do seem to be pretty strong abilities going off of the official footage released. Seems like you can clear out pretty big groups of enemies with these attacks. But something we don't know is if there are going to be different options for different attacks, or if we're going to be able to augment those dismount attacks at all. And if customizing these dismount attacks aren't in the game at launch, that is definitely something I feel like that they would add in the future, where maybe you get to choose between a handful of different attacks. Maybe you can augment these different attacks in different ways and change how they work. And that could definitely add some more interesting customization to your mounts and to open world gameplay in general. And I can actually see that interacting with PvP combat specifically in pretty interesting ways. Like being able to, as a sorceress, do your dismount attack, launch forward and freeze a group of players, and then go into more damage. And it could make for pretty strong sneak attacks. And that brings us to your mount customization. And starting off, we have the actual mounts themselves. Now we have only seen actual screenshots or footage of horses. We have seen a handful of different horses that change up that model quite a bit, from just different horse breeds and colors to completely different changes up of horses, like undead horses that are glowing. But we have not seen other creatures as mounts as of yet. Now, I do think this is going to be something that's either in the game on launch or is going to be added later on, because anytime a developer is talking about the mount system, they're specifically saying mounts. They're not saying horses. Even at times that you would think that would use that descriptor, it's still being described just as mounts. So most likely you'll be able to get other creatures, other mounts to ride, and there's even the possibility of a pre-order bonus having a triple-headed dog as a mount. That was something that was leaked years and years ago, but that is a possibility. Past the actual mount itself, you also have a handful of other customizations you can apply to any mount you're riding. So specifically, they have mentioned item slots for mount armor pieces, hoof plates or horseshoes, saddles, and trophies. Now, years ago, when they were talking about all these different customizations, they were talking about all of them having an actual gameplay change to the mount itself. So most likely, armor pieces making you take less damage and being dismounted less, hoof plates giving you increased movement speed, and saddles or other items giving other stats to your mount. But the most recent times they've talked about mounts, they have only mentioned the hoof plates giving your mounts increased speed, and they haven't mentioned any of the other customizations giving your mount different stats or gameplay changes. So I'm not entirely sure which way they're going at this, if all of these are only going to be cosmetic now, or if hoof plates are still going to give stats, or if all of these different customization pieces are still going to affect the gameplay of your mount in some way. But we do have some more descriptions of these different customization options. And first in that list is mount armor pieces. So this would be different sets of armor you get to put on your mount. Primarily, this seems to be something cosmetic because in some leaked surveys, there were also mount armor pieces in that, and they were specifically labeled as cosmetic only, not giving any gameplay differences or advantages. Now, there is a possibility that there are cosmetic only armor pieces that changes the look of the armor that's on your mount, but the armor itself that you earn in game does give stats, so that's a possibility. We have hoof plates, which even in the most recent stuff has been mentioned as something that increases your mount's speed, so something you'd only be able to earn in game. Then we have saddles that again seem to be something that's cosmetic only, but again there could be the possibility of having saddle cosmetics that go over your mount's saddle, but then the saddle itself could also have stats. And then the most interesting part is trophies. Now this is actually a pretty cool system. So trophies are things you earn by doing notable things in Diablo 4. So for instance, if you kill, say, the end boss of an act, you could then get that end boss's head and put it on your trophy slot on that mount, and then that boss's head would be hanging off the side of your mount. You get spikes with heads on them, you could get flags, you could get a bunch of different things that you earn by doing significant things in the game, and you're able to customize your mount with those different trophies. And also just a quick mention back to those leaked surveys, they did also have a section for mounts themselves as something you could get for a pre-order bonus. Now again, years and years ago, it was also leaked that there would be a 3-headed dog either as a Diablo 4 bonus or as a bonus from getting Diablo 4 that you would get a mount in World of Warcraft. Blizzard games usually have that where you pre-order one and you get digital stuff for all the other Blizzard games. So it could be a possibility that we're getting a big 3-headed dog in Diablo 4, but again, take that with a grain of salt. That was years ago where that was leaked, and it could be a mount for World of Warcraft as well. The majority of information we have on mounts, mount customization, and how mounts are going to be used in combat. And I think this is a pretty good foundation depending on how they go about the customization. I personally would like if all these different customization features for your mount actually had some amount of stats. And then the cosmetics, like the stuff you could get from possible pre-orders, would just be skins on top of the stuff that's already on your mount. So the stats and stuff are only earned in game. And then you could also still get cosmetics that are pretty much transmogged on top of the stat items, essentially exactly how transmog works for your actual characters. And I do think with having such a big open world game like this and having mounts, I think this is a perfect type of system to be advanced and updated upon in the future. You could even have the possibility of giving your mounts more abilities so you could start off combat or do more combat on your mount. You could even have the possibility somewhere down the road to be able to do part of your rotation or use some of your abilities while riding your different mounts around. There's a possibility for all of that. So we'll just have to wait and see how they continue advancing the system, because it seems like they want mounts more integrated into combat and your general gameplay over general, say, MMO mounts like World of Warcraft has had for 18 years, where it's generally just a cosmetic speed boost. So that's pretty much all I wanted to go over for mounts in Diablo 4. So subscribe if you want to see more Diablo 4 or other videos. Leave a like if you liked the video. Leave a comment down below what you guys think about mounts. And thanks for watching.